The question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Thursday night. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 105 of the Throwdown with Matt. And tonight we are throwing down with Louisiana-based pro wrestler from the Carnival of Lights, the Barker of the Bazaar, Rika Wildlee. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm sorry about last night and not being able to, make this happen. But I'm so glad that we rescheduled and jumped on tonight. And I've been looking forward to this podcast for some time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we've got in store for the great folks of the Throwdown Nation.
Absolutely. And for those of you that are watching this live, if you've got questions or comments, throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and start with the first and most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
Well, professionally, I've been wrestling for 4.5 years or so. I was trained during and toward the end of the COVID, the whole COVID pandemic thing.
Right.
So altogether traveling and hitting the road heavy for about 4.5 years. So yeah.
Gotcha. Who actually trained you?
I was trained by the Mid-South and global legend Dapper Danny Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Dapper Dan. He was trained by Ivan Putski.
Yeah.
And and they done a lot through the Sportatorium and things like that in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, moved around through Mid-South and global and things. And he after he stepped out of wrestling for a short while, he opened his own little personal bike shop. And during COVID, when sales got down a little bit because people wasn't shopping as much and things, he opened the wrestling school. Took his wrestling knowledge and paid it forward to me and many, many other students of the United Wrestling Entertainment Academy in Louisiana.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm familiar with Danny Davis, and I definitely remember Ivan Putski, watching him as a kid. Polish Power.
Yeah. Yes, Polish Power. That's right.
Absolutely. So it appears that you're at least peripherally involved with a faction called the Family. Tell us about that.
Well, it's the Family affiliated, and it includes myself, the Barker of the Bazaar, Rika Wildlee, my tag team partner and co-CCW tag team champion, Ethan Sorrow, Gluttony, the Big Top Butcher, and Smoke the Reaper. We are the Family affiliated, and we have multiple different companies that we wrestle with and things like that. And throughout Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. This weekend, I'm opening Oklahoma to the Family. So even though we look a little weird, look a little bizarre, look a little odd, and most promoters instantly go that we look heel and push us as such, we're all faces. In all honesty, we're all really good guys, and the whole shtick of the gimmick and the whole, saying of this gimmick is showing the world that it's okay to look weird, it's okay to be bizarre, it's okay to be odd. Embrace your flaws, embrace the bizarre, rather. That's all it is to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my recent guests actually he inadvertently gave me a question that I've added to my repertoire just because I thought this was a really cool challenge. And that is, try to sum your wrestling persona up in 5 words.
Walking, talking, history, lesson, and that's 4 words.
Nice.
I'm here to show the world that wrestling that we know, the entertainment value, the personas, the gimmicks, the matches, all started at the carnival. That's my gimmick.
Yep. Absolutely. And a lot of people have lost sight of the fact that professional wrestling did originate back in the carnivals. Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So that's my job as a professional, as a connoisseur of history. It is my job to show the new generations who have lost sight of the amazing artistry that is professional wrestling, to show them where it all began, and that it doesn't have to be black and white. It can be as bright and as big as you want it to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So something that we do in these is we do something called the speed round game. And what that is, I've got a list of 10 names. Periodically, I'll stop, I'll say speed round, and I'll name a name, and you just tell me the first things that pop into your head.
All right, sounds fun.
Yeah, it's name association, basically. So
I dig it.
speed round. Sting.
Amazing wrestler. Yeah, just top notch.
Yep. Absolutely. So I'm presuming that you've been at least a fan of this stuff the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Very, very much so. I say this, and I've told many other podcasts and my friends and family. At 8 years old, I fell in love with the world that is professional wrestling, and this was around the early to mid '90s. And I say fell in love with. I became obsessed, and I use that word in the broadest way that I can. It engulfed my life to the point where nothing else mattered. Anything and everything that I was into had something to do with wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
You can
So
in the thing there.
So
buy tickets
what
online.
would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
when I was 8 years old, I went to stay the night with my cousin, and he had a VHS tape that was I can't remember. I know it's not the Shawn Michaels. I can't remember what the tape is called, but it was the Shawn Michaels highlight tape. And I remember seeing the Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels double intercontinental title match.
Oh yeah.
And that there is the initial wow factor that really drew me into liking and wanting to follow and dig deeper into professional wrestling. Because if I saw these two guys and they were doing crazy stuff that I never even thought about could be being done, especially using a ladder, I saw that and I was like, I've got to see more. And I was digging and digging and digging. And before you knew it, I was finding all kinds of characters and then other people to follow and things like that. And it just got more sewn into my DNA match by match.
Absolutely. So away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Well, to be honest, all of my hobbies and interest outside of wrestling still involve wrestling. Like, I make all my own gear. I make all of my everything that I do, even when I'm not performing in the ring, has something to do with wrestling. Like, I make action figures for independent wrestlers. I make my own gear when I'm home. I don't play video games. I don't even really watch wrestling like I used to, because I've been in so many locker rooms where I've seen people that just watch Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and they go out on their show day and they do exactly what they just saw that Monday or that Friday, you know?
Right.
So I may catch the highlights on Facebook or TikTok or something like that, but as far as keeping up with heavy storyline, I don't even do that anymore, because I'm too focused on my own stuff, trying to be as left to center and unique as possible, which is hard to do in this day and age, but it can be done.
Well, you know, looking at all of your various stuff on social media, I will definitely say you are accomplishing it. You know, I haven't had a chance to read the entire backstory, but the way you have set up all of the lore and for lack of a better word, the Rickaverse is just really cool. You know, the creativity that you express in a lot of the videos that you do is just really cool. And actually, for people that are not familiar with you, I was actually going to share my screen and play one of your short little highlight reels that I found on YouTube. So let me do that. I'm going to share my screen and play this, just because I thought it was really cool and I want other folks to see this.
Rika Wildlee, the barker of the bazaar, shining bright, yeah, I'm a superstar. 5 years grind and I'm flexing like a beast. In ring skills, man, I'm ready for the feast. Colorful gear, lights flashing like a wave. Creativity unleashed, I'm the one they crave. Logos on my merch, I design, I create. Being odd is the message you just can't relate. Rika in the ring, taking over your scene. Championship, stacking, living the dream. Multi-state flexing, worldwide appeal. Barker of the bazaar, I'm keeping it real. States deep, I'm the name in the game. Rolling through the cities, Rick is making a claim. Podcast global, hear my voice around the globe. From the streets to the stage, I'm the one that glows. With my partner, and we tag team kings. Tag team shams, yeah, we do our things. Hitting hard, boy, never backing down. Always staying humble, taking over the crowd. Rika in the ring, taking over your scene. Championship, stacking, living the dream. Multi-state flexing, worldwide appeal. Barker of the bazaar, I keep it real.
But
Yes.
so, did you create the music for that yourself?
Yes, actually, I did.
That is actually really well done. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wrote out those lyrics, and I read it through a couple different little generators, because I'm no singer, you know, but it turned out really well, and it also just brings a little more uniqueness to the character and the highlight videos and things. So
absolutely. So, outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
well, honestly, there's two people. One is my son, just because, you know, there's nothing that I'm literally watching him grow up and seeing myself and the little things that I missed and didn't have time to really sit and think about and fix. I'm getting to watch him do the same thing, and it helps me be a better person, you know.
Gotcha. How old is your son?
17.
17. Yeah, I've got a 15-year-old. So,
There you go.
yep. There's
Yeah,
nothing like being a dad.
that's true. And I mean, he graduated 2 weekends ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now he's starting life, you know. And me doing what I'm doing is just showing him that you can pretty much do whatever you want to, no matter how crazy it is or seems to other people.
Yep. Yep.
If you got a passion for something, you can do it.
Oh, for sure. So, so I know that you're based in Louisiana. What part of Louisiana are you based in?
I'm in central Louisiana, around like Alexandria area, 318 area code. It's pretty much right in the center of the state. And I grew up in this area, and I was told all my life that wrestling doesn't exist here. You know, there's lose that dream, lose that hope, lose that want, because it's just not a reality here. But thank God for things like social media and stuff, because you don't have to wait for it to come to you. Now you can reach out and get it.
Absolutely. And you know, wrestling exists everywhere because wrestling is right here. You know,
100%.
and
100%.
if it's in your heart to do that and to be involved in that business, you can do it.
Look, I'll be completely honest with you. Me and my wife got married in 2020 during COVID, and we went to Cancun, Mexico. We were on our honeymoon,
Hmm.
and we were sitting on the balcony, and we're just chit chatting between each other, talking about different things. And I had looked up Rhodes Wrestling Academy, because Dustin Rhodes had just opened Rhodes Wrestling Academy in Houston,
Yep.
and we were kind of chit chatting between each other about me wanting to go actually try it. You know, go try to one last ditch effort to become a wrestler. You know, I'm 30 years old at this point. It's either now or never.
Right.
And while literally we had maybe had this conversation, and about 20 minutes later, one of my best friends, who's now a wrestler with me, who I've helped train, Gluttony the Big Top Butcher, he's one of the family affiliated, called me in Mexico. And when he called me in Mexico, he told me about the UW Wrestling Academy that opened up.
Nice.
And that's how that is.
Awesome.
What's up? What's up?
So, so it sounds like you've got a really terrific, really supportive wife, and that is a definitely a blessing. But in general, what does your family think about all of this?
Well, let's just say 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, as I was still trying to live vicariously through every means of becoming a wrestler, they were like, they supported me when I was younger, but as I got older and, you know, all that kind of stuff, they were like, look, it's time, you know. And I understand being a parent myself. I understand that mentality, but I've always had a firm belief in, I can't live for you, you can't live for me. What makes me happy may not make you happy, and vice versa. You know, so when it come down to it, now that I've accomplished it and I'm out doing it and really traveling and making a real go at it,
Mm-hmm.
they are 1,000% supportive.
Awesome.
But it took a lot of convincing over time, you know.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Speed round. Terry Funk.
Hardcore legend.
For sure.
The GOAT.
Yep. Yep. You know, one of my all-time favorite matches involves Terry Funk, and it is back from 1989. He and Ric Flair had an I Quit match at a WCW Clash of the Champions. And if you've never seen that match, seek it out. It is a masterclass in storytelling. So
That's amazing. And that's a lost art, man.
it is. It is.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. They're both of those are some of my favorite all time, favorites. So I'm definitely gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's probably out there on YouTube somewhere if you look around. But it is well worth your time. Well worth your time. So, they say that the best wrestling personas are essentially usually yourself turned up to 11. So, kind of tell us about in ring Rika and compare and contrast him with everyday you.
Well, I am I'm going to use it. I'm very bizarre. I'm very odd because I'm me 100%. Like me, don't like me, take me as I come. I just am who I am, and I've never tried painting myself in a picture to fit anybody's, cookie cutter mold, I guess.
Right.
And over time, growing up, I was like that. I've got brothers and family and friends even that was like, if you want to hang out with us or you want to do this, you need to be this type of person and all that. And I'm like, that's when the whole, I got to be me because you can't be me and I can't be you. I've got to make me happy because you can't make me happy and I can't make you happy.
Yep.
You just got to be real with yourself. And that's bottom line. And it has bled over into the wrestling, to show the world that it's okay to be odd, weird, unique, and just be you. Don't worry about what the naysayers say. Don't worry about what others say, good, bad, or ugly. Be you because you'll be happy. There's no other way to become happy than just being 100% true to you. When you look in the mirror, that person staring back at you, you need to understand that you're not looking at a false image of something that someone else created.
Yep. You were looking at you.
That you're looking at you 100%. Yep. Deep down into your heart, you're looking at just you.
Yep. Yep. And to have that kind of self-awareness and knowledge of yourself is a process.
Oh yeah, it doesn't come overnight.
No.
Because like I said, people talking trash, even if you don't want it to, and people just downing you all the time for whatever you're into, whatever you got going on. Like when I was in high school and all of my buddies were out chasing girls and going to parties and things like that. And I'm still talking about what's happening on wrestling, and they're growing out of it. And I'm still trying to live that, weekly involvement with wrestling and having all of that. Don't get me wrong. It does take its toll over time to where you're like, maybe I do need to, grow up a little bit, but I can't be happy trying to mold myself to fit someone else's structure.
Gotcha.
I've got to be me. I've got to be me.
Absolutely. So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? Thoughts going into it, thoughts coming out of it. Lay it on us. Tell us about numero uno.
Okay, my very first match was at the gym in Alexandria, Louisiana with United Wrestling Entertainment. And I was in a tag team match with Cody Hawkins. He's another local wrestler from a little bit further down south Louisiana. But we went against Punk Sinister and X Storms, and they're two other UWE students that trained up in the classes I was in. And going into that match, when I say all the years of hoping and dreaming and thinking of what it was going to feel like to finally step through that curtain and have a crowd of people focused on you, chanting your name, and anxiety out the roof, just excitement, anxiety. The 8-year-old kid in me was just giddy, and I can honestly say I won that match. I went over, and afterwards I immediately called my dad because he was there to watch it. I called my dad, and my voice was cracking. I was just shaking. It was amazing. It was amazing. A feeling that I dreamed about for years and years and years and years, and it finally come to fruition, and it was just amazing.
That's awesome. So we've heard about the first one. Now tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
My favorite match that I've been a part of is probably, thank you, I appreciate that. Is probably me wrestling at the Gathering of the Juggalos in front of 17,000 people.
Nice.
I've always been an ICP fan. I've always been into that scene. And as I got my opportunity to go to the Gathering and do the JCW tryouts and things, I showed up, got my opportunity. They put me in a Rumble, and I got to work against some people that I've watched growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got to meet Madman Pondo, Necro Butcher, and so many others that I never thought I would get a chance to meet, let alone work with.
Interestingly enough, I've actually recently had some communication with Madman Pondo, trying to get him on the show. Right now he's in Japan, but we're working on either doing it on a weekend where the time difference won't matter as much, or waiting till he gets back stateside. But he's a good dude.
Oh, he is. He's genuine, man, and he's real. He's 100% him.
Yeah.
And he's just a good guy.
Yeah.
He didn't have to give me the opportunity, because at the Gathering they have the JCW Madman Pondo tryouts, and he's the one that really has the final say so and who gets involved in what.
Right.
And for him to give me that opportunity, that's another check off my bucket list.
Oh, I'm sure that meant the world.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, yeah.
So if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Great on the mic.
Okay. What's your reason?
And I'll tell you that. And I'll give you the simple reasoning behind that, and that's because the mic skills will never diminish.
Yep.
The ring skills, your body breaks down over time.
It does.
You may look great and flashy one day, and over time, it gets slower. It gets more, lagged and this, that, and the other. But the mic skills, look at Ric Flair.
Oh, yeah.
That guy could get out there and cut you a 20-minute promo without even thinking about it.
Yep.
And get the crowd as hype as anybody in the ring.
And, if you can talk, even if something happens to where you can no longer compete in the ring, there are still opportunities in the business if you can talk. You can be a manager, you can be an announcer, you can be a commentator.
I've said this for a long time. Charisma and in-ring ability will take you a long way, but a character, a verbal character, will always outlast a wrestler every time.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
I could be 80 under this mask.
Yeah,
you'd never know it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So, character will always outlast a wrestler.
Yep. And
that's the way I feel about it.
And the character is what ultimately will be remembered as well. So
right. I mean, how many wrestlers? I'm gonna do the top dog, and that's the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Okay. Undertaker is a character, amazing character.
Yeah.
But doesn't have to come out. What was it this past year at WrestleMania where he just randomly showed up to choke slam The Rock?
Yeah.
Didn't have to do anything. Nope. Just literally, you heard the gong.
Yep.
And the character outlived the wrestler.
Yep. Absolutely. So, what has been your most unusual encounter with a fan?
Well, I really wouldn't even call it a fan, but at the JCW show, there was some, I guess they would be fan crowd members. I mean, they got to be fans to even be there, but they tried getting in the ring and they ended up having to be beat off the apron. So,
That sounds like a good time.
yeah, needless to say, there was like 20, 30 people in there, and he's going to try to get in. They didn't let it happen.
Well, that's good. That's good. You know, for their own safety more than anything else, you know.
Right. Right.
Yep.
That's already a crazy show, let alone trying to get in there. And yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, save the fool from himself.
Right. Right.
So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that you can have watched it a million times and it just never gets old, and there's always some new little nugget.
Rey Mysterio Jr., Eddie Guerrero, Halloween Havoc.
Yeah.
The purple suit, the spots, the amazing, just technical and high flying spots they done. Just everything was so great, which at the time, you know, it was kind of innovative because a lot of that hadn't been done yet. But growing up watching that match, I didn't know that Eddie and Ray were that close. So that's why they had such chemistry. But just watching that match as a fan when I was a kid, oh man, I could watch it a million times and it's always just as good.
Yep. Yep. I completely agree. So, in your opinion, who are the best male and female wrestlers in the world right now?
Oh, right now. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Because I mean there are some talented people.
Yeah.
But like we talked about earlier, a lot of it, a lot of the storytelling aspect of wrestling has lost its flair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, now if you were to ask me, you know, if you were to ask who I feel some of the greatest of all time were, I would say one of my favorites is William Regal.
Yeah.
You know, just everything he done had purpose.
Yeah.
You know, every move, every talk, every promo, every match, it all had purpose. You know, you knew exactly what he was about coming in and going out of the ring every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time to this day is still Chris Benoit. I mean, you know,
Agreed.
I mean, I can separate the man's body of work from how he ended his life. I mean,
100%.
You can't take away the fact that he was one of the best to ever do it. I mean,
Nope. Nope. The matches that he was having in WCW, early WCW with like Dean Malenko and things like that, some of the
insane
technical.
I mean,
oh, yes, 100%.
And, you know, also back in WCW, that 7-match series that he had with Booker T was just amazing. I mean,
well, when you sit back and you think about it and you look at Chris Benoit and you look at his inspiration, Dynamite Kid, and all of that kind of stuff, they're like, there was no, with the passion that he had inside that ring, there was no way that he wasn't going to be great. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it was just talent. You know, like you said, outside of the personal BS that happened, his in-ring ability was a level that most aspire to reach.
Absolutely. So, and this can be present day or past. who would be a dream opponent for you? Who would you love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
Just on pure principle of inspiration, Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
That's gotta be my ultimate dream match. Just everything about him, his ways of looking at things, his imaginative skill set, and his art that he paints, not only physically but in the ring as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's always painting a picture.
Yep.
And he does it. He does it in every aspect of his life. Walking, talking inspiration. I still, to this day, I heard him say it on what there was a DVD or a VHS they had when I was a kid. Exist to inspire, and I still use that to this day, just because I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally the definition of the human existence: is to inspire everyone and everything around you to be better.
Absolutely. So, what you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies, and that is what hurts right now, or should I say what doesn't hurt? Maybe.
Let's just say it's got to a point now, and most wrestlers feel this way, that I can tell when I haven't bumped in a while.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell when I need to go train. My body will let me know. I pretty much, for the most part, stay okay. You know, I do get sore from time to time, but I can tell definitely on the days that it's been, 4 or 5 days since I've been in the ring to take a bump, even if it's just one. You know, my body's like, hey,
It's time.
you need, as weird as it sounds, you need to get slammed down.
Yeah. So, what is the most significant injury that you've suffered either wrestling or training?
A concussion.
Mm-hmm.
I was going against a guy in Mississippi, and I took some very stiff, wild clotheslines that wasn't properly done, and I took them to the mouth and to the face. And this dude was like 6'3", 6'4", about 380.
Big boy.
And not a small man. And needless to say, at the end of that night, the promoter was giving me future dates of when they were running shows in the future, and I couldn't even tell him what town we were in.
Yeah.
And I'd been there probably 6 times prior to that, so I knew where I was at. I was out of it for a short time.
Yep.
But that's a lesson learned, you know.
But concussions are a tricky thing. I mean, sometimes you can come back fairly quickly from them. Other times you can't, and it's all situational. And they say that once you've had a couple, you're more vulnerable to getting them, so you've got to start working more carefully.
It's very true, but it's one of those things, and I now, since that happened, I promote this to all wrestlers in every locker room I go into, is if you if you show up early, which I really hope that I put this over to most wrestlers, to show up to the events early if you can. If you can make it there a couple hours early, do that.
Yep.
Find out somewhat of who you're working on the card, and if you can, every independent wrestler for the most part has some kind of match footage on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, such and such and such and such. Do your research.
Yep. Do your homework.
Find out who you're working. Find out how they work. If they go in there and you watch 2 of their matches and you've seen them pull out no real big spots, no big flippy, jumpy whatevers, but yet when y'all go to work out your match, they go, okay, I'm going to do a 450 off the top rope. And you'd be like, no, sir. That's
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
You just be smart. Use the tools at hand to not put yourself in a position of getting hurt.
Yep.
Don't believe everybody when they say I've got 10, 15, 20 years experience,
Mhm.
because that may be true, but how many injuries have they given to someone or to themselves for that matter during this stint of wrestling?
Yep. Absolutely.
We have these amazing tools at our hands and we need to use them and utilize them in the best way possible.
Completely agree. Speed round. Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Yep. Those two are inextricably tied to each other.
Yes, yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Love them both. Love them both. Great performers.
Yep. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Well, I'm one of those guys that, for the most part, as just me being a protective worker of not only my opponent but myself, I'll take anything once,
Yeah.
and I'll justify whether I want to do it again or not from there. But in the middle of a match, if you go to give me something, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to be that guy to blow a spot or blow a little takeover, whatever the case may be, and make you look like trash. So my favorite move on the fly to give is a spinning back elbow, a diving spinning back elbow. I give it in almost every match because it looks pretty, it's clean, and there's nothing that you can't really get over with the crowd doing something that it's flashy, but it's small.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's just one of those good.
It's one of those types of things that less is more.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't take a lot. Everybody gets clotheslines. Everybody gets shoulder tackles, but doing things like that, it's just as good, and it's just a little more flashy. You're taking the same bump,
Yep.
So
Absolutely. So, knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
don't listen. Simple. Don't listen.
Yep.
The world is going to try to justify your every move by their failures, not by yours. Don't listen.
Absolutely. So, do you have any pre-show traditions, any things that you try to do consistently before you go through the curtain?
I always it's getting in the mindset of being as bright as I possibly can. And I've had people be like, you're going to give somebody a seizure one day with all them lights. And I'm like, hey, but I promise you this, if that ever does happen, that'll suck, but guarantee they won't forget me.
Yep.
The whole crowd as a whole, they won't forget me. I could go out there and have the best match ever, and that'd be awesome. Or I could go out there and completely crap the bed, but they won't forget me.
Yep. And ultimately, if they go home and they're thinking about you, you've done your job.
That's the way I feel about it. I mean, I'm there to give them that small little escape from all the bull crap in life. And if they may not even know my name, but if they're going home still talking about that guy with the lights, then I've done my job. And I've already got people waiting to buy tickets for the next show, next time we come there.
Absolutely.
If they're going to talk.
Yep. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So one of my previous guests asked this question, and that is, what has been your most embarrassing in-ring moment?
Most embarrassing in-ring moment. The top strap of my mask broke during a match.
Oh no.
So it was held on here, but the mask was sliding down. So I'm literally giving a move, lifting it up, giving a move, lifting it up, like I'm picking up my head every time. And that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments.
No doubt, no doubt. So so since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to pose for the next guest?
What is your intentions while being a wrestler to inspire the people that you come across in the locker room? What do you hope they get from you by the time it could be your first time there, it could be your last time there? What do you hope they get from you to carry on to better their career? You know,
So how would you answer that?
I want to give knowledge that I've gained by picking the brain of every person I come across in the locker room to hopefully not only make myself better, because everybody sees wrestling different. Everybody feels different about wrestling. Me talking to somebody about a way I give a move, they may see that same move and teach me a different way of taking it or giving it. You know, but that's the beauty of the artistry of professional wrestling, is it's not black and white. It's as big and as bright as you want it to be. There's 100 different ways to do one simple thing, and it is our job as professionals and students of the game, no pun intended, to find out every avenue on how to make this product better.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the belt you have over your shoulder.
Well, this is the Classic Championship Wrestling Tag Team Championship. Me and Ethan Sorrow, the family affiliated, are the current tag team champions out of Fort Smith, Arkansas. We have been the champions since June 13th of last year, July 13th of last year. And we defended them in 4 or 5 different states, or carried them to 4 or 5 different states. And hopefully, before long, we can make a full year of being the CCW Tag Team Champions.
Nice, nice. So we're getting toward the end of things. Do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Yes, Buzzsaw Championship Wrestling in Guthrie, Oklahoma this weekend. It is ran by Terry Pantera, a WCW Hall of Famer. And at the end of this month, the 25th, 26th, and 27th, the 25th, I will be in Manila, Arkansas for TNR Championship Wrestling. Then the 26th, I will be in Oklahoma City for Renegade Wrestling Entertainment. And then the 27th, I will be in Dallas, Texas for North Texas Wrestling.
Nice. So you are a busy guy.
Yes, I'm booked all the way through December, brother.
That is awesome. That is truly awesome. Well, you know, as far as what we've got coming up, this Monday, the 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 106 with a wrestler who is also the chief operating officer for All Caribbean Wrestling, Showtime JB Cool. And then Tuesday, the 8th, also at 7 p.m., I've got episode 107 with a pro wrestler by the name of Psycho Boy Fodder.
Awesome.
And then next Wednesday, the 9th at 7, I've got episode 108 with a wrestler based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, Too Hot Deion Summers.
I've wrestled in Atlanta.
Have you?
Yes, for a Stranglehold Championship Wrestling.
Okay. Yeah, but I live about 35 miles northeast of the city. And I've been here in Atlanta since 1983.
Yes, sir.
So,
Okay, going.
Well, I'm trying to get back over that way, man. I broke Georgia out, and now I'm trying to get over to Florida and up to the Carolinas and things like that. You know, always trying to broaden my horizon.
absolutely. So, before we wrap this up, do you have any final words you'd like to say to the nation?
Yes. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you look at yourself, whether you're a promoter, wrestler, fan, whatever the case may be, or even just chasing a dream that has nothing to do with wrestling, always be good with number one, and that is being you. Don't let everybody around you, friends, family, coworkers, whatever the case may be, don't let them influence your decision on chasing your dream and your passions and what is in your heart. Because like I said at the beginning of this podcast, there's one simple way to live, and it's this. I can't live for you, and you can't live for me. What makes me happy may not make you happy, and what makes you happy may not make me happy. And that's what makes this beautiful blue ball that we live on an amazing place to live.
Absolutely. And, life is too short to be unhappy.
That's it. You gotta be good with you. Everybody, the world will adjust.
Yep. Absolutely. So for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this in replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And like I said, I'll be back Monday with Showtime JB Cool. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. Be good to each other, love each other, and let's keep throwing down.